Dr. Myra Lawson adjusted the straps of her safety harness as she floated through the narrow maintenance corridor of the orbital research station. Outside the thick reinforced windows, the vast blackness of space stretched endlessly, punctuated by distant stars. Myra had always loved the silence of space, but today it felt unusually tense. Alarms from the outer docking bay echoed faintly, a persistent reminder that something unusual had been detected. She reached the observation deck, where a team of engineers was clustered around a terminal, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of the monitors. The screen displayed the sensor readings of an unidentified object drifting near the station. Its shape was odd, elongated, almost crystalline with faint pulsing lights across its surface. "What is it?" Myra asked, peering over the shoulder of the lead engineer, Theo. "It's not anything in our records," Theo admitted. "It's moving slowly, but it's clearly intelligent. Sensors detect life signs, one, maybe two, and something else, it's emitting patterns we can't identify." Myra frowned. She had studied countless alien species in theory, but nothing had prepared her for seeing life like this floating near her station. "Prepare a retrieval pod," she said firmly. "I'll go. We can't just leave it there." The engineers exchanged wary glances. The last time an unidentified craft had approached, it had ended in a containment emergency that caused minor damage to the station's hull. But Myra was used to taking calculated risks. Minutes later, she was suited up, the white pressurized fabric snug around her body. The airlock opened, and she floated outside, tethered securely to the station. Her gloved hands reached for the metallic pod drifting slowly in space. The surface shimmered with colors that seemed alive, like liquid light moving beneath a crystalline shell. "Hello," Myra called softly, unsure if it would understand her. The pod responded with a soft pulse of warm-colored lights, almost like a heartbeat. A voice, or something that felt like a voice, entered her mind. "Help me, please." Myra froze, her heart racing. The telepathic signal was gentle, almost musical, and clearly intelligent. She quickly examined the pod's exterior. It had a hatch, but the locking mechanism was unfamiliar, alien in design. Myra activated her toolkit, sending a sequence of commands and tools to interface with the pod. Sparks flickered along its edges and the pulsing lights intensified. "Almost there," she murmured, sweat forming at the edge of her visor. She could feel the alien presence growing anxious, the thought patterns flaring in sudden bursts. "Hurry, don't leave me." With a final twist of the interface, the hatch opened with a soft chime, releasing a gentle gust of pressurized air. Myra held her breath as the interior of the pod glowed softly. There, floating within a transparent cocoon, was the alien. Its body shimmered like the pod's surface, translucent with colors that shifted like the sunset on a distant planet. It had delicate limbs, a graceful elongated head, and eyes that glowed with an inner light. "Don't be afraid," Myra said, floating closer. The alien recoiled slightly but did not attack. Instead, it extended a tendril-like arm toward her. "Thank you." Myra guided it carefully into a containment module designed for fragile extraterrestrial life. The alien's body hummed softly, resonating with the station's energy fields. Myra was fascinated. Its form was so unlike anything she had studied, yet it seemed intelligent, sensitive, and aware in ways that reminded her of a young child, curious but cautious. Back inside the station, Myra sealed the module in the laboratory. She studied the alien's reactions to various stimuli: light, sound, temperature. Each experiment was slow and deliberate, designed to be non-intrusive. The alien responded with faint pulses and color changes, communicating through subtle shifts in light and patterns. Myra began learning its language, a combination of visual signals and telepathic impressions. "Can you understand me?" she asked softly. "Yes, I think," the alien's thought echoed. Myra smiled at the small triumph. Communication, however limited, had begun. Over the next few hours, Myra learned more about her visitor. It called itself Leary, though the sound of the name was difficult to translate into human speech. Leary explained, through thought patterns and light pulses, that it had been exploring nearby star systems when its pod had been damaged by a meteor shower. It had drifted aimlessly for days before the station's sensors had detected it. "I can help you repair your pod," Myra offered. She wanted to be helpful but also cautious. She had no idea what kind of technology Leary used, nor how compatible it would be with the station's systems. "Thank you, but I cannot survive long in my pod. The damage is too great." Leary's lights dimmed slightly, signaling distress. Myra frowned, thinking quickly. "Then you'll stay here. We'll fix something better for you. You'll be safe on the station until we find a permanent solution." Leary's colors brightened briefly, a sign of relief. Myra felt a warm surge of pride. Humanity's curiosity and compassion, she thought, were more powerful than any weapon or tool. They could reach across the stars, connect with life forms that were completely alien, and build trust where others might destroy. The next day, Myra began creating a habitat for Leary. She repurposed one of the botanical modules, filling it with plants and water systems that mimicked its home environment. Leary watched intently, fascinated by every human action. Myra explained each step aloud, describing the plant's needs, the water flow, the lighting. Leary seemed to learn quickly, even offering patterns of its own to help optimize the environment. As days passed, Myra realized something unusual. Leary's biology was adapting to the station in unexpected ways. Its colors changed more frequently, the pulses of light became more complex, and Myra began noticing subtle energy fluctuations around its body. She hypothesized that prolonged exposure to the station's atmosphere and energy fields might be stimulating reproductive processes unique to its species. She decided to observe quietly, not interfering, knowing that rushing could stress Leary. In the meantime, they continued to communicate. Leary shared images and memories from its travels, vast crystal oceans, floating forests, skies with multiple suns. Myra listened, fascinated, and shared human stories in return. She told of Earth's oceans, mountains, cities, and cultures. Leary reacted with patterns of bright light, seemingly amused or amazed. One evening, as Myra monitored Leary's vital signs, the alien sent a thought that startled her. "Myra, I think something is happening inside me." Myra approached carefully, examining the alien's form. She saw subtle changes in Leary's bioluminescence, rhythmic pulses that were new and unexpected. Her scientific curiosity mingled with concern. "Don't worry," she said gently. "We'll figure this out together. Whatever it is, we'll handle it safely." Leary's light shimmered, a sign of trust and gratitude. Myra felt a profound sense of connection. This wasn't just an alien she had rescued. It was someone depending on humanity for survival. She realized that, in many ways, this tiny being had already changed her life. As the hours turned into days, Myra worked tirelessly. She adjusted environmental controls, ensured Leary's comfort, and maintained careful observation of its changing biology. They shared moments of quiet companionship, watching the distant stars together, exchanging thoughts without words. Myra began to appreciate the depth of intelligence and emotion in Leary, recognizing that despite their differences, their curiosity and empathy were strikingly similar. One morning, as sunlight, or its station equivalent, filtered through the observation dome, Leary's bioluminescence pulsed in a steady, bright rhythm. Myra realized that the alien's adaptation had reached a new stage. I feel different, stronger, and something new growing." Myra nodded, understanding immediately. She maintained a calm demeanor, knowing that panic would only stress Leary. "That's okay," she said softly. "It's part of life. We'll make sure everything is safe and healthy." Leary's lights shimmered with relief, and Myra felt a surge of pride. humanity's ability to care, to nurture, to solve problems without violence. It was a strength Leary had never encountered in its own species. Myra knew this was only the beginning. There would be challenges ahead, decisions to make, and discoveries to uncover. But for now, they had formed a bond that transcended species, distance, and language. As Myra floated back to her workstation, reviewing her notes, she couldn't help but smile. Space was vast, mysterious, and sometimes dangerous, but it was also full of wonder. And in that wonder, humanity's best traits shone brightest: compassion, ingenuity, and the courage to reach out to the unknown. Leary's glowing form pulsed gently in the habitat, a silent promise of a future they would face together. And Myra, watching the stars, felt certain that this encounter was the start of something extraordinary, not just for her or Leary, but for humanity itself. In the quiet hum of the station, with distant stars twinkling endlessly, a new chapter had begun. One in which a human and an alien, so different yet so alike, would navigate the mysteries of life, growth, and connection across the stars. Days passed on the station, and Dr. Myra Lawson's routine became intertwined with Leary's presence. The alien had begun to explore its new environment with quiet fascination, gliding gracefully through the botanical module and tracing its translucent fingers along the plants and water streams Myra had set up. Every movement seemed deliberate, almost like learning, as if Leary were absorbing every detail of human life while adapting to it in its own mysterious way. Myra watched carefully, taking detailed notes on Leary's changing patterns. The pulsing bioluminescence had become more complex, brighter, and increasingly rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat combined with thought signals. Myra had never observed anything like this before. Leary's energy seemed to interact with the station itself, producing subtle vibrations in the air and the module's systems. It was as if the alien had brought part of its life force with it, and the station had welcomed it. One morning, Myra noticed something new. Leary's light pulses were not just responding to environmental changes. They were reflecting a deeper, internal rhythm, one that mirrored her own curiosity and concern. Myra approached slowly, careful not to startle her visitor. "Leary," she said softly, "I think something is happening inside you." I know, the alien's thought arrived in Myra's mind, gentle but tinged with worry. "I do not understand, it feels new and strange." Myra nodded, taking a seat near the habitat. "It's okay," she said, speaking aloud as if that made it easier to process. "We'll take it slow. Whatever it is, we'll handle it together." Leary's colors brightened slightly, a sign of reassurance. Myra marveled at how intelligent and perceptive the alien was, despite being thousands of light years from its home planet. She realized that humanity's strength was not in technology alone. It was in patience, care, and the ability to connect emotionally across vast differences. Over the next few days, Myra devoted herself to monitoring Leary more closely. She adjusted environmental controls, ensuring temperature, humidity, and light levels mimicked conditions Leary had described from its home world. Each adjustment was made with precision, but Myra also spoke to Leary as she worked, explaining why she made each change. The alien seemed to respond to the tone of her voice as much as to the physical alterations. One afternoon, as Myra floated near the observation window, she noticed Leary's form pulsing with a slow, deliberate rhythm. Myra's heart raced as she realized that the alien's biological changes were accelerating. The hybrid energy she had first suspected was clearly taking shape inside Leary. She had read about cross-species biological adaptations in theory, but nothing had prepared her for the reality of it. "I feel different." Leary's thought flowed gently into Myra's mind. "Something grows and I am afraid." Myra extended a hand toward the habitat glass, her own fingers hovering close but not touching. "It's okay to be afraid," she replied. "Change can be scary, but you're not alone. I'm here and we'll make sure everything is safe." Leary's colors shimmered in complex patterns, a mixture of anxiety and relief. Myra felt a deep sense of responsibility. This tiny being had trusted humanity with its life, and now its very biology was intertwined with the station's environment and with her own care. The following days were a careful balance of observation and interaction. Myra continued teaching Leary about human life, culture, and science, while also learning about the aliens' own history, travels, and philosophy. Leary described crystal forests that floated in the skies of its home world, and oceans that glowed with living light. Myra, in turn, shared stories of Earth's mountains, rivers, and cities, explaining how humans built their world with both imagination and effort. One evening, as Myra adjusted the lighting in the habitat to mimic a sunset, Leary's light pulses shifted in response. It floated close, its eyes, or the glowing equivalents meeting hers. "I do not know what will happen," it admitted, "but with you I feel safe." Myra felt a warmth spread through her chest. Humanity's greatest gift, she thought, was its capacity to comfort, to teach, and to protect. And now that gift was being tested in the most extraordinary way. Soon, Myra noticed that Leary's movements became slower, more deliberate, as if conserving energy. She adjusted the environmental controls to provide optimal support, ensuring oxygen levels, temperature, and energy fields were just right. Every system on the station seemed to respond to Leary's presence, as if the alien's life force and the station itself were slowly learning to coexist. One afternoon, Myra entered the habitat with a tray of nutrient-rich fluids designed for Leary's consumption. As she floated near, Leary reached out a delicate arm and touched the tray, its light pulsing rhythmically. Myra smiled. "You don't need to worry, Leary. This is just to help you stay strong." "I know, thank you," but Myra knew that biological care was not enough. She needed to prepare for the unexpected, including the hybrid life growing within Leary. Her research modules were limited, but she had faith in human ingenuity. Carefully, she began designing a containment system for monitoring the developing energy inside Leary, a system that would be safe, non-invasive, and adaptive. As Myra worked late into the station's artificial night, she noticed Leary watching her, light pulses flickering with curiosity and concern. "You do so much for me. Why?" Myra floated to the alien's side, resting a hand against the module wall. "Because it's the right thing to do," she said simply. "Because life, any life, matters. That's what makes humans human." Leary's glow brightened, an almost imperceptible smile in its patterns. Myra felt a quiet triumph, knowing that in that moment the alien had begun to trust humanity fully. The next week brought subtle but unmistakable changes. Leary's body shimmered with new colors, and the rhythms of its energy pulses became more complex. Myra carefully recorded every detail, noting the progression and predicting the next stages of development. The hybrid energy growing within Leary was stabilizing, responding to both the station's environment and Myra's interventions. One evening, while Myra reviewed her notes, Leary reached out and touched her hand through the containment glass. Its light pulsed in a sequence that Myra recognized as curiosity and tentative affection. "Will it be okay?" Myra smiled, floating closer. "Yes," she said firmly. "It will be, I promise. We'll take it one step at a time together." Days turned into weeks, and Myra's connection with Leary deepened. They spent hours in quiet observation, floating together as the station's artificial sun shifted through its programmed cycle. Myra shared stories of human history, music, and art, while Leary responded with glowing displays and thought images that told of distant worlds, cultures, and discoveries. One afternoon, an unexpected challenge arose. A minor system fluctuation in the habitat caused the nutrient flow to become uneven. Leary's pulses faltered briefly, signaling discomfort. Myra acted quickly, stabilizing the flow and adjusting the environmental controls. Leary's colors slowly returned to their steady rhythm, and Myra felt a renewed sense of relief. Humanity's ingenuity and quick problem-solving, she realized, were just as important as compassion. "You saved me again," Leary's thought arrived softly. Myra nodded, floating nearby. "And I will again, whenever you need. That's what friends do." The alien's bioluminescence pulsed in patterns Myra had come to interpret as happiness and trust. She felt a profound sense of accomplishment. Humanity's curiosity, empathy, and persistence had bridged a gap that no technology alone could span. As the weeks progressed, Leary's hybrid development advanced steadily. Myra observed that the alien's form subtly changed. Its pulses became more vibrant, its light more focused, and its interactions with the station more deliberate. She realized that her care, combined with the environment of the station, had created a safe and nurturing space for the new life growing within Leary. One quiet evening, Myra floated beside the habitat, watching Leary as it moved gracefully among the plants and water streams. "Myra, I am ready." "Ready for what?" Myra asked gently. "For understanding, for the next step, for life to continue." Myra's heart swelled. She understood that Leary was not afraid anymore. Humanity's patience, creativity, and moral courage had given it the strength to face the unknown. Myra knew that challenges lay ahead, but she also knew that together, they could face them. As Myra prepared her monitoring systems for the next phase, she felt a deep sense of hope. Space was vast, full of mysteries and dangers, but also full of opportunities for connection, growth, and understanding. And in the quiet hum of the station, with distant stars twinkling endlessly, humanity had proven itself capable of compassion, intelligence, and courage, in ways that even the most advanced alien species could admire. Leary's glow filled the habitat, bright and steady, a living testament to the bond forming between human and alien, between two species bridging impossible distances. Myra smiled, knowing that this was only the beginning. Together, they would explore the mysteries of life, growth, and connection, facing whatever the universe had in store, side by side, with trust, care, and the unshakable strength of humanity guiding them. In the stillness of the orbital station, Myra made a silent promise. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she would protect Leary, nurture the new life, and continue to prove that humans were a species capable of greatness not through force, but through understanding, empathy, and ingenuity. And somewhere deep in the rhythmic pulsing of the alien's glowing body, Myra sensed a quiet acknowledgement, a promise returned, a trust forged, and a new chapter in the story of life across the stars ready to begin. The orbital station hummed softly, a rhythm that matched Myra, Lawson's own heartbeat, as she floated through the corridors. Outside, the stars shimmered, distant yet familiar, and the blackness of space seemed almost comforting now. Inside, the station had become a home not just for humans, but for Leary, the alien who had changed Myra's life in ways she could never have imagined. Leary's habitat had grown more elaborate over the weeks. Myra had added new plants, water streams, and lighting systems to match the alien's changing needs. The alien had adapted beautifully, moving with grace through the module and interacting with every element as though it were alive. But the most profound change was still unseen. Inside Leary, the hybrid life that had begun weeks ago had matured, its energy pulses steady and bright. Myra had monitored every stage carefully, ensuring that Leary remained safe, comfortable, and confident. One morning, Myra entered the habitat with a tray of nutrient fluids, prepared specifically to support Leary through this final phase of development. Leary's bioluminescence pulsed softly as she floated toward Myra. "I am ready," it thought, sending the message directly into Myra's mind. Myra nodded, her own pulse quickening. "I know," she said softly, "and I'll be here with you every step of the way." The alien responded with a flicker of brilliant light, almost like a smile. Myra carefully observed the rhythms of the hybrid energy within Leary. It had stabilized, no longer chaotic or unpredictable. She had designed the habitat so that the energy had space to grow safely, using the station's environmental controls and gentle energy fields to support its development. The technology had been her tool, but it was humanity's ingenuity, patience, and empathy that had made the difference. As hours passed, Leary remained calm, moving gracefully through the habitat. Myra observed every subtle change, the way its pulses brightened, the way its glow shifted in patterns of anticipation, and the moments when it reached out toward her, seeking reassurance. She spoke to it continuously, describing what she was doing and why. Leary responded with gentle pulses of light and thought, a dialogue of trust and understanding that required no words. By midday, Myra noticed the first signs that the hybrid life was ready to emerge into the world. Leary's glow intensified, shifting through colors Myra had never seen before, a symphony of light that seemed to dance across the walls of the habitat. Myra carefully activated the monitoring systems, ensuring that the environmental fields were perfectly balanced to support the new life. Every adjustment was precise, but Myra spoke aloud to Leary as she worked. "It's okay," she said softly. "Everything is as it should be. We'll do this together." Leary's lights pulsed steadily, a sign of agreement and trust. Myra felt her heart swell. Humanity's ability to care, nurture, and solve problems without force had created this moment. A life nurtured across the stars, between two species separated by millions of light years. As the hours stretched on, Myra guided Leary through the process. The alien's body emitted a gentle hum, synchronized with the hybrid energy that had grown inside it. Myra watched in awe as the energy coalesced, forming a small, radiant being within Leary's containment field. It shimmered with every color Myra had seen in Leary's bioluminescence, yet it had its own distinct patterns, unique and vibrant. "I feel." Complete Leary's thought arrived softly, accompanied by a calm and steady pulse of light. Myra floated closer, careful not to disturb the delicate process. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "You're beautiful." Leary's glow brightened in response, and Myra felt a quiet pride. Humanity had created the conditions for life to thrive, not through domination or control, but through understanding, care, and respect. In that moment, she realized that humans could inspire trust and cooperation in ways no alien technology could achieve alone. The hybrid life slowly separated from Leary's energy field, forming its own glowing shape. It floated for the first time independently, a tiny, radiant being that seemed to pulse with curiosity and wonder. Myra observed its movements carefully, ensuring that it remained safe. Leary's form glowed in patterns of affection and relief, watching its offspring with tender attention. "It's okay," Myra said softly. "You're safe now. You can explore, learn, and grow." The small being responded with a sequence of bright pulses, moving closer to Leary and then to Myra. Myra reached out carefully, allowing the hybrid to sense her presence. Its energy seemed to recognize humanity as a friend, a safe presence. Myra smiled, amazed by the bond forming across species. Over the next few days, Myra and Leary worked together to nurture the hybrid life. They floated through the habitat, introducing it to the environment, showing it the water streams, plants, and energy flows. Myra spoke continuously, describing the world in simple terms. Leary responded with light pulses and thought images, teaching the hybrid about its own species and the human world. The hybrid life thrived. Its energy pulses grew brighter, more complex, and increasingly curious. It interacted with Myra and Leary, exploring its surroundings and learning from both species. Myra marveled at the intelligence and adaptability of the new life. It was unlike anything she had ever seen, an extraordinary combination of two species, yet distinctly unique. One evening, As the artificial sun of the station simulated a sunset, Myra floated beside Leary and the hybrid. The three of them watched the shifting light together, sharing a moment of quiet connection. Myra reflected on the journey that had brought them here, the rescue of a stranded alien, the nurturing of life, and the trust that had been forged across unimaginable differences. "Thank you, Myra, for everything." Leary's thought arrived softly, full of warmth and gratitude. Myra smiled, feeling tears threaten her visor. "It's nothing," she said. "Everything we've done together. And this is just the beginning." The hybrid life glowed brightly, pulsing in patterns that Myra had come to interpret as happiness and curiosity. It floated closer to her, then to Leary, creating a radiant bridge of energy between the three. Myra realized that this tiny being represented more than just life. It symbolized hope, trust, and the incredible capacity of humanity to care for life beyond its own species. As the days turned into weeks, Myra continued to guide Leary and the hybrid. They explored the station together, observing its systems, testing their understanding of energy flows, and learning from each other. Myra documented everything carefully, knowing that her research could one day help other humans reach out to alien life with empathy and intelligence. One afternoon, Myra floated near the observation deck, looking out at the endless expanse of stars. Leary and the hybrid were nearby, their glows illuminating the interior of the station with soft, warm light. Myra realized that she had learned as much from them as they had from her. Humanity's strength was not only in technology or intelligence, but in patience, empathy, and the willingness to connect across impossible divides. "We will never forget you," Leary's thought came, full of emotion. Myra nodded, smiling. "Nor will I. And we'll continue together, wherever the stars take us." The hybrid life pulsed brightly, sending out ripples of energy that seemed to respond to Myra's presence. It had learned from both species, yet its own unique intelligence shone through. Myra marveled at the possibilities. This small being could one day travel between worlds, bridging gaps between species, teaching lessons of trust, cooperation, and understanding. Over time, the trio became a family of sorts. Myra continued her research while caring for Leary and the hybrid. They explored the station, shared knowledge, and faced small challenges together. Every problem was met with thought, care, and collaboration. Myra felt proud, not only of herself, but of humanity's ability to rise to challenges without resorting to violence or domination. One evening, as the station rotated gently around its orbit, Myra floated beside Leary and the hybrid, watching distant stars. "Do you think humans are special?" Leary asked softly. Myra thought for a moment, then nodded. "Yes," she said. "Not because we're strong or fast, but because we care. We try to understand, to help, to protect. And we don't give up, even when the universe is big and strange." Leary's glow brightened in response. "I see. Now I understand why I trusted you." The hybrid pulsed happily, its energy forming patterns that Myra had learned to read as joy and curiosity. Myra smiled, her heart full. Humanity had reached across the stars and touched life in a way that no weapon, no technology could. Through patience, empathy, and ingenuity, they had created hope. In the weeks that followed, Myra, Leary, and the hybrid continued to grow together. The station became a hub of learning, understanding, and shared life. Myra documented everything carefully, hoping that one day other humans would learn from this experience. She wanted the story of trust, compassion, and cooperation to be remembered. And as Myra floated through the observation deck one quiet night, watching the stars shimmer endlessly, she knew that humanity had proven itself once again. Not through force, conquest, or domination, but through the simple, extraordinary ability to care. Leary glowed beside her, the hybrid nestled safely in its presence. Myra reached out, feeling the warmth of their combined energy, a bond forged across species and space. The universe was vast, full of unknowns and challenges, but in that moment, Myra knew that humanity's spirit could shine anywhere, guiding, nurturing, and protecting life wherever it appeared. For the first time in weeks, Myra allowed herself to relax completely. The stars outside were endless, the station safe and humming, and inside life thrived. Together, human and alien, they had created something extraordinary, a family, a hope, and proof that the human spirit could light up even the darkest corners of the universe. And somewhere deep in Leary's glowing form, Myra sensed a quiet, enduring promise that no matter what the universe held, life, trust, and connection would always find a way. The three of them floated together in perfect harmony, a living testament to humanity's greatest strength, not power, but compassion, curiosity, and the courage to reach out to the unknown. And with the stars stretching endlessly before them, Myra knew that this was only the beginning of a story that would span worlds, species, and time itself.